Hello and welcome to the Best Kept Secrets of Greene County, New York podcast, where we're letting the Catskills out of the bag. I am your host, Thomas Boomhower, and joining me, as always, is my incredible co-host, Greene County's own Farmer's Almanac, Mark Gustavson, who leads our Buy in Green and Invest Green programs for Greene County. Mark, how are you this morning?
Thomas, I'm doing as well as I possibly could, and I'm just amazed at the metaphors that you're coming up with.
I'm doing my best. You gotta have a bit. Mark and I are joined today by Kate Galassi and Steve Gonzalez of Via Ravioli here in beautiful Coxsackie. Kate, Steve, thank you very much for taking the time today to talk to us.
Our pleasure.
Thanks for having us.
So here on Best Kept Secrets, we want to point out some of the gems that are really going on in Greene County, New York. And we're at our 9th episode, which is really cool. Mm-hmm. We're gaining a lot of traction. And the folks that we have the privilege of speaking with all play a part in the unique character of each one of the communities that are here. So I wanted to start off, if you guys could just give us a little bit of how you met and what brought you to Coxsackie.
Sure. Kate and I met probably 10, 11 years ago in Brooklyn, New York. At the time, we were in the Pfizer building, which turned out to be a very big incubator for small food businesses.
And it was an old Pfizer pharmaceutical manufacturing building.
Wow.
Kate had a business, Quincyble, that she started, which was a home delivery, very artisanal produce home delivery business. And I had just started Sfollini Pasta. And Kate initially started buying pasta for Quincyble. We did a few collaborations together and then started dating.
Spending so much time together that you just figured, well, let's tick that box.
And Sfollini started in 300 square feet, teeny tiny, and expanded within that building to 4,000 square feet.
Wow.
And was gaining so many new stores every month that it outgrew that space. Mm-hmm. And that's when Steve started looking for a manufacturing space outside of New York City.
And you originally, if I remember the story correctly, you originally were looking at a place in Orange County. So what was the differentiator? What brought you to Greene?
Well, yeah, we had a landlord in Middletown who we had signed a lease with, or was about to sign a lease with, and he had he thought was a more vetted tenant. So he opted for that tenant and didn't like the risk of having such a young business in his town. So at that point, we were kind of scurrying because we had equipment that was getting ready to be put on a boat to be shipped to the U.S. and we needed space. So I pretty much went on LoopNet and started looking at everything up 87 that was close to the highway, close to the interstate, mm-hmm. and found the old Ducommon building.
Right, and then the Greene Industrial Technology Park,
Yeah, and we came up. It was the first time I drove up, I thought, wow, it's a little further north than we thought we would land. Mm-hmm. But we looked at the building, and the building was ideal. Mm-hmm. It had a small office space, which we needed, and it had a very large manufacturing area, and had 1,600 amps of power, which was a lot. We needed a lot of power. It had, because of Ducommon and the manufacturing they did, it had compressed air running through it. Wow. It had tall ceilings, and it just kind of checked all the boxes and was ready to go. And because it was vacant, Ducommon had moved already, but was still holding the lease. Galassi, the landlord, wanted to get it filled. So a lot of parties that wanted everything to work, it came together really fast. And I think within 6 months of signing the lease, we were in there running.
Now, when you're talking about stuff being put on a boat to come, the manufacturing equipment, as all good pasta manufacturing equipment is, where did this stuff come from?
It's coming from all of our manufacturing equipment. All the pasta production equipment was mostly coming from Italy.
Yeah, there you go.
So all that stuff is mostly manufactured in the Emilia-Romagna area.
Okay.
And with a machine that's that big, it's made to order. You're not buying anything off the shelf. Right. So a year before production began in Coxsackie, we flew to Italy so Steve could see them commission the equipment, turn it on for the first time, run it, It's a 2-story extruder that is capable of making 2 million pounds of pasta a year.
Yeah.
Wow.
When you guys first went into the space, I can remember we came out with the economic development team from Greene County, and my partner in crime, my wife, who's a videographer, and she likes nothing more than to shoot industrial. I mean, she's like, she thinks that the machinery and all of that was fantastic. And you showed us this die that was made. It was a brass die.
Yeah.
That was made down in Brooklyn, I think.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. That company's out of business now, or not out. They've merged and now they've moved everything to Massachusetts. But yes, Muldari Dye Company was. I think they were in Brooklyn for over 100 years, manufacturing dyes.
And this is a massive thing. I mean, it was like the size of a manhole cover.
It's true.
Yeah.
You can't lift them up by hand. You need a special
The
machine.
one you saw was small, but for more industrial Barilla size, they're double, triple the size.
Yeah.
So. It's all very big equipment over there, and a lot of moving parts on this.
So I know Sfoglini had and still does have an incredible reach. It's great. It's great pasta. It's it's been done. What made you make the transition from boxed to fresh?
Sure. Well, the backstory on Sfoglini is it started out as doing fresh pasta, delivering to restaurants in the city, and then we kind of transitioned it more into dry pasta and then became a fully functioning dry pasta business and totally cut out the fresh. And the fresh was always kind of what I did and was interested in. But as we grew, focus came on dry and making more and more dry pasta. And then, we had a lot of investors for that project to get that growth that we needed. And then after the investors, we were approached by a private equity company based out of Italy, and then there was a sale that happened, and I had a certain amount of time to stay, and I did, and when that time was up, I kind of decided it was time I wanted to do something new. And
thankfully you did.
And this building had come along, and actually we had just purchased the building across the street, so I saw all of the traffic numbers. We did a whole analysis. So I knew what the traffic breakdown was. I knew that there was good visibility here.
Originally, we thought we wanted to be on Reed Street, and we spent a lot of time looking for a building in what we call downtown Coxsackie.
Yeah, exactly.
And we are really good friends with Susan and Shai, who own the bottle shop, and so the idea of being neighbors with them felt really exciting. Yeah. And there were no buildings for sale, or the buildings were for sale were going for cash or not on the market.
And this is before the Newbury was completed.
No. This was just the last summer, a year ago.
Oh, okay.
We closed on this building almost exactly a year ago. Okay. So we were looking in the summer of last year. So, the hotel was already open, and then when this came on, it was kind of the fact that nothing had been available on Reed Street. We've come to see it as a huge silver lining, because the traffic that comes on 9W is just so much more than what happens on Reed Street.
Absolutely.
And we realized that part of what we want is to be folded into people's, everyday errand routine. You go get gas and a coffee at Stewart's, you come and grab a box of ravioli and a fresh loaf of bread. It's wound up being a really fabulous location.
So for our listeners, just to let everybody know, you're kind of at the intersection of 9W and New York State 81. Correct. Now, that kind of crisscrosses northern Greene County. So 81 goes all the way up to Oak Hill and all the way out into the town of Durham and into Albany County. From here, and 9W is a U.S. route that was the one of the before the thruway was the main thoroughfare from on the west side of the Hudson River from Rockland County to Albany, and so it's well traveled. And there's an awful lot of you're in a kind of a really neat situation, because aside from just Stewart's, which is your next door neighbor, you've got a whole bunch of other shopping type of things, including a really great coffee roaster with what is it?
Greater Things.
Greater Things, right? And then Simone's now is reopened, so that's kind of neat. And you got a Tops, so it's
Kelly's.
all right in that area.
Right,
liquor store across the street, and that's you're not going to get that kind of traffic, even though downtown on Reed Street, it's just not going to happen. So
when we first opened, some of our best customers in the beginning were people who were going to the Y, and they would go to the Y for pickleball, and then they would come here. And just being right across the street from the Y was so great.
And now, we also have, a parking lot, which as being city people, we don't really think of that being as like an advantageous thing. But when we're here, we really feel the difference of having, 20 spaces that are ours.
Yeah.
So it's a big advantage as well.
There are two other cool things about this location, I think. When we talk about the ABCs of Greene County, we talk about affordable, beautiful, commutable, and the throughway is like right up the road from here, right? So that's another thing. People coming home from work, they stop by, get everything they need for dinner right here. The other thing is that this was a former mechanic shop, right?
Yep.
And you kept the quality, I think it's a quality auto care, but now you walk in, it just says quality.
Yeah, the original plan was to add pasta underneath so that it would say quality pasta. That's still the plan, but in the list of a million other things to do, we just haven't gotten around to that part of the
But you do so much more than pasta, so quality is just perfect.
Yeah.
So you now live in Coxsackie? How did that come about?
We've always lived in Coxsackie.
Okay.
When we figured out that Sfolini was moving to Coxsackie, we started looking for a house.
And initially we thought, this will be a fun upstate adventure. We'll come for a couple years, get the factory set up, and then maybe we'll move back to Brooklyn or we'll move to Philadelphia, where Steve's family's from. And by the time we'd been here for 2 years and had a baby, we had really fallen in love with living here. We very quickly found a group of other kind of local Greene County entrepreneur friends, and we actually met all 6 of our closest friends on one night at an event at the Woodhouse Lodge 3 months after we moved here.
Okay, so Megan and Jay, Susan and Shy, and you guys, and who's the other two?
Powell's Tree Care out of Arlton. Ian and Shannon.
Oh, wow, that's
and we have dinner with some or all of those people every single week.
That's awesome.
We've also traveled Italy with all of those people. It's been fun, and I never thought we would stay after Sfolini was done, but we've really become attached to the community and enjoying it. We really enjoy being here.
And also, like, the food of the Hudson Valley, like, as people who have worked in food for our whole careers, the opportunities for collaboration within the Hudson Valley are so incredible, and that has been the most fun part of doing this as opposed to Sfolini. Sfolini's major manufacturing. It does work with New York State flour and some specialty stuff, but it's mostly truckloads of flour is what you're buying. But here at the shop, the ravioli really are inspired by local farms and what they're growing. And from day one, week one, it's been so easy to find awesome farm partners and then also build that relationship in both directions. So Grimaldi Farm, Letterbox Farm, and MX Morningstar Farm, which are the 3 farms we partner with the most, we buy stuff from them, and then they sell our ravioli at their farm stands. So it's this kind of back and forth partnership.
So you do have some sort of additional distribution outside of coming to the shop.
Yeah, we're selling our ravioli wholesale to about 35 stores and restaurants, primarily in the Hudson Valley, but going all the way up to Saratoga Springs, and we have a handful of shops in Brooklyn.
Okay, awesome. Any notable Greene County restaurants where you can get your ravioli?
Stewart House just put the mushroom ravioli on their fall menu, which has been really great. And then I would say the other local partners right near the shop, Coxsackie General Store sells the ravioli. B and Caro has been a really great partnership. That's kind of the only person up on the mountain or even close to the mountain that's selling our stuff. And then Story Farms has been, the third. So those are our real Greene County wholesale partners.
Well, Stories as well. I mean, that's a destination for people to drive up to get produce. It's unbelievable. And we joke around about it because I've got a second place that we just sold up in Mexico Bay, which is in near Lake Ontario, north of Syracuse, south of Watertown. Okay, and after we built that place in 1993, and now we're going to experience our last lake effect winter, which is awesome. So we're in the process of pulling all of that apart, and have a buyer that's actually is a great guy that was is a vet tech and is turning that ranch into a rescue ranch, which is kind of fun.
Cool.
So that's neat. But my wife, who comes down here weekly to do imaging for the work that we do for Greene County, she's always like, the food you can get down here is incredible. And it's just like, I can't even, like, I go to Red Star to get a butter croissant. I go to Nina's in Caro to get some sort of treat. I go to C&B to get bread. Or Dan, Catskill Bread Company with Dan Kirkus down in Athens. And then the eateries are just fantastic. And then, of course, if I don't have a box of Via Ravioli in the freezer when she comes down, I've got hell to pay. So, that's just it.
That point about the food and how it's really on the come up in Greene County recently is something that we hear when we go to like statewide events and talk to other economic developers north of the Hudson Valley and west as well.
Fantastic, yeah. No, and so you say you've got some place up in Saratoga, so you tap into that a little bit. Which is
yeah. Franklin Square Market they've been really great to work with. We connected with Mark and his team up there, and we brought him samples. He wasn't going sight unseen, but he really took a chance on us as a small company, invited us up to do a sampling, and Steve and Albert went up and sampled out some ravioli to customers, and they've been really great to order like 10 cases at a time.
So one of the things that we try to focus on as well is your impression of the support provided by the Greene County Economic Development Corporation, the Chamber, the business climate here. How would you describe the folks that are in the business community in this area, but both on the organizational side, but also you had mentioned great local business partners as well. But you're the recipient of a multi-grant award, correct? We were up here for a ribbon cutting on that. So
James and his team has been incredible to work with since. One of the benefits of this business is it's not our first go around. We've both started businesses before, and that helps. And so when we were even thinking about doing this, the first thing we did was reach out to Greene County EDC, and we went down for a meeting in Catskill and just said, hey, here's what we want to do, and here are the areas where we are having that are tricky for us. Getting a commercial mortgage is complicated. So, and James was able to pull in people from his team, help us get information, perspective. And then as soon as the opportunity for the multi-grant came, James emailed me. He said, the deadline to submit your interest is tomorrow, but I really hope you'll do it. But that process was, so fast. I have a background in economics, so I studied economics in college. So a lot of the projections and spreadsheets and stuff, that was, fairly easy for me.
In your wheelhouse, yeah.
And we had to do a business plan for our commercial mortgage. Right. So most of what was required for the multi-grant we had already. So a few Zoom classes later. And it all came together really fast for 4 months start to finish, which is incredible.
We tout rock star status here, and it is true. He's passionate, he's young, and he's very well connected across the state with other economic development organizations, and he is a genius at getting grant funding for small businesses, especially micro enterprise type stuff. And the multi-grant is awards up to $25,000 to businesses as a reimbursement. When we did the branding for it, it's money for utilities, logistics, inventory, and technology. And so that's the multi. I think I put the letters backwards or something like that. But that's what they stand for. And he was able to procure enough that we were able to. How many grants are actually being distributed?
12.
12, yeah. So 12 grants, which is pretty fantastic.
Yes.
Yeah.
And we actually now have permanent chefs, so I'll be back here with a
Don't just have the dry erase on it, right? So you can have that big check somewhere.
Well, no, and it just felt really great. Honestly, doing the ribbon cutting and having so many people show up who just were excited to say hi and that they were glad to be here. That was, kind of official Greene County people with a real stake in the community. But that's been our experience with just all of the people of Greene County too, is just that everybody has been enthusiastic. Everybody has been supportive. You kind of hear stories of people go to restaurants and they're demanding and they're mean to their waitress. And so I was kind of braced that we were going to open and people were going to be like, oh, well, why is your ravioli $11 a box, or why don't you have this? Or it's kind of like prepared for people to be more complainy. That has like not happened at all. It's just our experience has been that people are so nice. They're so excited for us, and they keep coming back week after week, and they tell us how they like to cook their ravioli and what they're excited to see next. And the community support out of Greene County, but honestly, really like people who live within 5 or 10 miles of the shop has just been overwhelming.
Well, Thomas and I both did time in Coxsackie, which is the phrase I use because it's a prison town. But my dad was actually a superintendent at Coxsackie Correctional from 1969 to 1979, so I tell everybody I did 10 years in Coxsackie.
There you go.
And went through the 2nd grade to 11th grade in the Coxsackie school system, but what was going on here at that time was just nothing. This whole area was, there was no Stewart's on this corner. Right. There was an A&P where the beer world is now. That's how, that whole Tops Plaza did not exist.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
And Reed Street was an eyesore. It was absolutely hideous. And the turnaround that has happened, primarily starting after 9/11, but then again, the real kicker, was post-COVID.
Yeah.
It was just when people really started embracing. And the community aspect that you talk about, the common thread is the folks here embrace the unique. Okay, which is kind of neat. It's not just another chain store that's opening up or another chain restaurant or something like that. Yeah, people that go to those, they go to those. That's great. But the folks that really are seeking out something unique are very much into the shop small thing. And that has been the impetus of our Buy in Green program for the past 10 years that I've been running it. And it's all about connecting consumers with businesses so that more businesses want to come here, so that more consumers buy the business up from the businesses, and then promoting the communities as well. So.
I mean, the thing that's interesting is we still, we've been open for almost 7 months, which for us feels like a long time. Yeah. But people are still coming into the shop and being like, it's my first time. I keep meaning to stop in. And it's, despite how small a community it feels like, I think everybody's busy in their own lives, and so it takes a long time to add a new spot to your rotation.
Sure.
I have my favorite Greene County spots, and I'll every once in a while, like Goodies in Catskill will come up, and I'll say, and somebody's like, well, what's that? And I was like, how have you not been to Goodies? Like, it's,
You got to have a mensch on it,
Totally. So
whitefish on a toasted egg bagel, that doesn't get any better.
So it is funny, I think. It does take people a while to keep spreading the word about getting people to, like, leave their normal, like, back and forth commute that they do on the same, like, when I got our license plates for our van and I was at the DMV in Catskill, and the person processing my application, she's like, what do you mean ravioli store in Coxsackie? I live in Coxsackie. I don't know what you're talking about. And I was like, we couldn't possibly be in a more visible location. What do you mean you don't know? But people really like, well, what if she lives on 9W south of us and she just never
just focused on the road, never really looking, all of that sort of stuff. It is interesting because there are still people in Greene County, quite a few local residents that have no idea what the Buy in Green program is. People downstate know exactly what the Buy in Green program is. People that have second homes know exactly what the Buy in Green program is. As a matter of fact, we're doing the holiday jingle right now, which is my 8th time of writing the memorable earworm that will be broadcast on air and online. We work with the kids from John Meredith's program at Greenville High School in their music technology program. And so every year we do a different jingle, and they get to produce something that actually they can hear and then see with the videos as well in market. And awesome. So that's kind of how we're trying to embrace the creativity that's inherent in a lot of our educators here. Coxsackie school system is really is a very good system too, and it's affordable. That's the thing. It's not. We're always happy to tout the fact that our property taxes are some of the lowest in the state, and the community is very, very involved in all aspects of it. From we get supporting the school system, supporting the local businesses, supporting the local events. It's pretty incredible.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think I thought of myself as somebody who really enjoyed big public events until I moved here. And now I would say, like, the downtown block parties in Coxsackie, I think are just absolutely awesome. Christmas by the River has been, like, since Otis was a little kid, have been, you know, some of our favorites. And I think, personally, like, my all-time favorite is Parade of Lights. I haven't even told Steve this, but I really want us to have a ravioli float in the Parade of Lights. It might not happen this year, but in the works.
Were you down at the Riverside Festival? Or?
We did. Steve and Otis went down while I was working, and then we tried to catch the fireworks. We only caught the first few minutes. They started on the later side, and with a 6-year-old you.
That was a busy weekend. I tell you what, we had the cat auction at the Point in Catskill, the Riverside Festival in Coxsackie, and then we up in Tannersville was the car show. Yeah, you know, that was a big deal. There's something going on all the time. Yeah. And a lot of people think that, well, you know, there's nothing to do here. I was in a restaurant, and which will not be named, and we're having lunch at the bar. And this person that was visiting said, "So what is there to do around here?" You know, and the bartender goes, "Well, there's really not a lot going on." And so I said, I took my phone and I went to the events calendar on GreatNorthernCatskills.com. I said, "This is what's going on." Yeah. And he's like, "Oh, what's that?" You know, and I said, and then if you're looking to shop, and I pulled up the Buy and Green site, put it on his phone, and like, "This is really great. This is really cool." Yeah. But I guess as you're engaged as engaged as you want to be, or, you know.
Yeah, and I think, like, also you kind of have to, in some ways, I think there's almost too much to do. Part of, like, what happens to us is we find something that we love to do, like Wyndham Path, I think is, like, one of my all-time favorite things to do. With a young kid, we can't do, like, bigger hiking trails, but it's, like, a perfect loop. You can throw rocks off that little covered bridge. Yeah. So we wind up doing that. And so I had some people come in like, full hiking gear, like, after to get ravioli after a hike. And I was like, "Oh, were you hiking? Where are your favorite hikes?" And they were like, "Well, really, we're more of nature trail people." And I said, "Even better." And then we spent, like, 10 minutes going back and forth about, you know, all of our favorite places in Greene County and across the river. Yeah. But yeah, sometimes you just get, like, you find something you love so much that you just get stuck in that, you know, routine.
For living in central New York for 35 years is what I did after I left Greene County and then came back. So I'm an expatriate. There was always no shortage of Italian provisioners in central New York, and you could go and get Cent and Yelp prosciutto, and you could go and get Parmigiano Reggiano, and you know, and it was just there, you know. And there was nothing like that down here until up in Wyndham we discovered this place that there is a real Italian deli on Main Street in Wyndham, and it's just the provisions there are just absolutely fantastic. So.
Yeah, we went there for the first time.
There?
Main Street Market.
Main Street Market.
Oh,
yeah, they were. There was a rumor that they were trying to sell, and they kind of went dark on Facebook for a few months. But I've recently, like, seen that they are back to posting, because we went in there in, like, December and chatted with them.
So one of the other things that we usually try to focus on is, have there been any challenges that you've faced that have been specific to this area that haven't been easy to overcome?
Mostly just trying to figure out how to reach people is still something we're, you know, still trying to get people in the door. Facebook, we found, is a great communicator.
It really is.
Especially younger people, slightly younger people. Instagram, we thought usually is a great way, but we get a lot of feedback from posts on Facebook. Is a great way to reach people.
Yeah, I think, you know, for us, despite the great location, we would love to see, like, twice the number of people coming in our door. And I think, you know, it's hard to get people to change their routines. Once people come in the door, they're like, "Oh, you've got this, oh, this is great." But it's just getting people to come in the door. So advertising, doing new programming, showing up at events. So, you know, block party, Christmas by the River.
And word of mouth is, you know, that's the big deal. That's one of the things that I was very impressed with every time we do a multi-grant presentation. The support we get from our legislators and from our state representatives that show up. That's a big deal, because they talk to their constituents about things like that. You know, Harry Lennon, even though he's from Town of Cairo, right? He is so pro local business, and he shows up at every one of these things and just tells his people about it and everything all the time. I mean, I think it was our first podcast that we did after the initial kickoff with you, James and I, was at Red Star. And, Shahan and Kimmy up there, Harry was the one who turned us on to him and said, you've got to go see this place because it's really something. They've really carved themselves out of a niche. Mm-hmm. That's key. And I think as time goes on and more people put you into their routine, they will be happy that they did.
And one of the other things I think I've noticed you guys doing is inserting yourselves into people's routine by going to farmers markets, because I was able to get some of the vodka sauce from the Catskill Farmers Market, which I go to every Sunday.
Awesome. Oh, that's so great. Yeah, we're back there this Sunday. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think the first few months that we were open, we were just heads down focused on mastering what was happening inside this building. Yeah. And starting about a couple months ago, we hired a local kid, Albert Salvino, whose dad owns Rainbow Painting. Yeah. And he had worked over at Sfolini for us for a few summers while he was still in college. Mm-hmm. Graduated from college, and now he's working with us. And so having Albert work with us has been great because he really knows the lay of the land. Mm-hmm. And he's also got so much enthusiasm. So he's been doing a lot of events for us. So yeah, I think we'll do more farmers markets, and we're going to apply to the Troy market for next year. And I think we'll do regular pop-ups at Catskill and then some Columbia County places too.
Sure. But you're sort of central to all of that, so it's not a killer.
This is what we've
always
about Coxsackie.
I've gotten people. I'll take credit. I've gotten some friends of ours to move to Coxsackie. Mm-hmm. And my pitch is that you're equidistant to Albany and Hudson. Mm-hmm. Close to the interstate. Mm-hmm. I also vouch for the airport in Albany. Mm-hmm. Some of our friends travel for work and business. I'm like, most of the time, it's always a connecting flight. From my house, I can be at my gate with TSA pre-check. I can be at my gate in 40 minutes, 45 minutes. I think that's pretty good.
That's pretty awesome. And now since they built the new off-ramp that goes directly to the airport where you don't have to fight Wolf Road anymore.
We haven't even experienced that yet.
Yes, I know. Yes,
so it's right off the Northway. The airport has its own exit. It used to be you have to go out onto Wolf Road, turn left, and go around. And going to and from the airport is actually really easy.
It's gotten really easy. Parking's very easy there. So, because we have friends that live in Hudson and they never go to Troy. They never go to Albany because it's so long. It's such a hike.
They're like, it's almost an hour.
Yeah.
And
for us, it's 20, 25, 30 minutes. You can be.
And then we went to a movie in Kingston yesterday. And you can go up the mountain. So all four directions are really great. Yeah. And so you do a lot more than our friends in Hudson just stay in Hudson. They don't go there, right?
The Hudson community kind of was the Brooklyn of upstate New York for a while,
I think now
now it's facing the same issues that Brooklyn is. Really gentrifying. It's leases are through the roof, property values are really high, and Warren Street is very vibrant over there, but you've got Reed Street here on a smaller scale. You've got Main Street, or what I call Down Street in Catskill, because you always have to go down from the heights to get there. That's what the old locals call it. We're going down street.
Catskill has been. The Renaissance in Catskill has been really awesome to watch since we moved here. We're huge fans of Hemlock. We think it's so awesome.
Oh, yeah.
And the bike shop.
Bike shop.
The bike shop.
Another multi-brand recipient.
Oh, really? Mm-hmm. Yeah. We were just in there a few weeks ago. It's a great store.
Yeah.
Oh, and Citiate, too.
Pim and
Pim. Those guys are real movers and shakers down on Main Street.
And now that it's yellow, they're just he's all in with the yellow. It's loved the logo to begin with, and then when he did the whole storefront in that taxi cab yellow, it was just absolutely fantastic. Citiate was a derogatory term that was used by us locals when we were kids in the 70s.
I didn't realize it was a Greene County specific term.
Oh, yeah.
I thought it was an upstate thing.
No. It's...
They've embraced it.
And
they've done a great job down there and really have engaged the community. We're always, when we go there, most of the time when we were doing all of our grant stuff, we would go there before. And there's always a great mix of people there.
Yeah. It really is something. And Hudson has the Amtrak station, which is a big deal. That you are in Penn Station, and then you're in Hudson. And it's that simple. But we've got the thruway. We got two thruway exits on this side, and the Rip Van Winkle Bridge. Trying to get people to come across the Rip Van Winkle Bridge, especially due to the lack of taxis and Ubers and Lyfts and things like that, can be a little challenging. But we were like, it's just a river, get over it. So if you could bestow any words of wisdom on future entrepreneurs seeking to relocate to the Greene County area, what would those be?
Patience.
Yes.
But I think there is, obviously, when you're, as people who lived in the city, you can get immediate buzz and response because there's such a mass of people. Here, I always have to remind myself that it's a slower, longer, it's more of a marathon thing up here. But, some advantages up here is if you have the opportunity, you can probably own a property, which I think can give you a different perspective on the life of your business and how you engage your business.
And I would say the biggest difference, and for us as city people, Brooklyn people, it took us a minute to understand this, but get involved. Like in Brooklyn, if we were thinking about opening a business like this, there isn't a James Hannes to reach. There is, but you wouldn't just be able to call him on the phone and then meet with him a day later, like that. And for us to get involved with Greene County EDC, Chamber of Commerce for our ribbon cutting, we're friends with Caitlin on the village board, and she throws the block parties, and so, that it's so easy to get involved here.
Caitlin's a local. Okay?
Yeah.
Caitlin Irwin, who is shipwrecked down on Reed Street. It's a terrific place to go, especially to get a cup of coffee in the morning, or to get a sandwich, or to get a
glass of wine on
market
evening.
Yeah. It's a great business, and it is one of the cornerstones down there.
Yeah, that's been the most rewarding thing for us is the more people we reach out to and connect with. We feel, we've been here since 2017, and we feel really invested in the community. Right. And I think that was, when Steve was getting ready to leave Sfolini, and we thought about what we wanted to do. We wanted to do something community-facing because for us, getting involved in the community here has been really rewarding.
Now, do you guys live in the village or in the town?
We live in the village. We're right next to the school path.
Oh, wow. Very cool. Very cool. So across the street from the Reformed Church.
Correct. Megan and Jay, who own Woodhouse Lodge, live right next to us.
Oh, really?
So, yeah.
Because I thought they lived on premises up in Greenville.
They did until 2 years ago.
And they wanted to be closer to the 6 or the 8. The quad couples.
Well, I think living on site has its advantages and disadvantages.
You're always there.
It's a very lean way to start a business, to be on site, be there. But I think after time, especially as their business has grown and they've done such great things with that space, I think they needed to get away.
There you go.
So we were happy to have them.
So I just have to ask you, did Susan design your logo?
Yes, she did.
Don't be ridiculous. Susan's designed everything. We just launched a new. Let me grab you a new box. It has a little ravioli family on it. So
wow.
So we just unveiled this week.
Oh, this is fantastic.
This is our
Very
new
cool.
box.
So I'm going to take this and then take a picture of it with my phone so that we can put it into the video
Absolutely.
portion of the podcast because this is very cool. But yeah, so the community that includes an awesome designer that came up from New York.
Yeah.
It's,
But also, the other thing that I would say is, and this is, again, very different from opening a business in New York City, is we opened and a guy came in and he said, hey, do you need somebody to mow your lawn? I mow lawns, up and down 9W. And I said, yeah, how much is that going to be? He said, $30 a mow. And I said, great, done. And that's the guy who's mows our lawn, and he's so nice. But it's been like that for everything. For painting our parking lot and snow removal. And
we work with a great electrician, Bill Beaton, who's based out of Greenville. Yeah. They're amazing. And we hired him, Sfolini, 5-6 years ago when he was just starting. It was just him. And then his dad would help him occasionally when he was bogged down. But now he's got a crew of 7-8 guys.
Yeah. Wow. That begs the question: how many full-time employees do you have?
We have 1, 2, 3.
Yeah, we're at 5 full-time employees.
Okay, and then do you have some part-timers as well?
Well, that's kind of we got 6 people total on payroll.
Okay,
and so we're at between FTEs, 4.5 to 5.
4.5 FTEs. Okay. Yeah, gotcha. Very cool.
And of those, 4 out of our 6 employees live in Coxsackie.
Oh, doesn't get any better than that.
No,
does not get any better.
Yeah, well, knock on wood, we have an incredible staff.
So, the community in Coxsackie, tick that box. The fresh-made ravioli and incredible sauces, tick that box. You can get fresh bread here. If you're going up and down 9W.
We do lunch now.
You do lunch now?
We do lunch now.
Awesome sauce.
Yeah, Wednesday through Friday.
Oh, very cool. Very cool. And eat in or take away?
Take away.
Okay.
For now, we'll see. But right now, we're just doing that. Mm-hmm. So we're trying to. One of our big things is be slow, be thoughtful, but we never want to rush with all these new things and then they don't work and we have to rejigger. So we kind of slow it down. We do one thing at a time, because big thing up here is that, you rush in and then you end up pulling back, and we don't want to ever do that. We want to be deliberate, give something, and then continue to do that.
The biggest promise we made to each other was that we were never going to change our hours. So when we started, we were Wednesday through Saturday to 11 to 6. Then we added Tuesday, also 11 to 6. And we will be open those days, those hours, forever. We will never, we just really want to be a business that people can count on. I say that we're about to close for vacation.
Vacation, that happens all over the place.
Yes,
people go on vacation, small businesses close up, and they said they let their social following know, hey, we're going on vacation, everybody's fine with that.
This is actually one of my favorite things about what happens with upstate businesses, is that practice is so widely accepted that for us as business owners, with a kid and our own family and our own lives, it really allows us to stay sane. We're going to New Orleans to visit my family. So,
are you originally from New Orleans?
My mom is.
Oh, wow.
And actually, Jay from Woodhouse Lodge grew up in Alabama. So
Okay.
the 5 of us are going down together, flying to see Jay's family first, then driving to Mississippi to see some of my cousins, and then ending in New Orleans, where 4 more Greene County people are meeting us, and we'll be 9 Greene County people in New Orleans together.
Well, if you are in New Orleans and you're in the Carter, there is my favorite restaurant in the world, in New Orleans anyway, is called Two Jacks. T-U-J-A-Q.
Classic.
Right?
Very classic.
3 items on the menu. Brisket, crawdads, and shrimp. Whatever you don't order as a main entree, you get as sides.
That's the way to do it.
Well, thanks so much, guys, for taking the time.
Thank you. We really appreciate you reaching out.
This is great. This has been wonderful. And again, if you're driving up 9W and you don't stop at Via Ravioli, there's something wrong with you.
So that's a wrap on another jam-up episode of the Best Kept Secrets of Greene County, New York podcast. Thank you again, Kate and Steve, for taking time out of just incredibly busy days to chat with Mark and I. Do we know where we will be next time?
No, we don't. Okay. We're going to leave it. We're going to leave it hanging. We do not know. There are 3 things up in the air.
Okay.
But we're going to have to ask everybody to please tune into episode 10. When that drops, we'll let you know where we are.
Yeah. But until then, we have places to go, things to do, and stories to tell.